I always thought that British people were brave, that we were heroes of spirit, that we were courageous, and that we would do what was required to push morality and do the right thing. I always believed that. But it's harder and harder to believe that these days. When I switch on my TV and I see acid attacks against innocent women and her 3-year-old child, and then I turn to my friends and family and I say, how did we allow this to happen on the streets of our country? And they just come out with these hollow excuses, this colonialism argument, this colonial fallacy, that we can expect these attacks to continue because of dead people from the past. We can't let it happen. We cannot let this go on. There's no excuse for acid attacks. There's no excuse for some crazed extremist from a foreign shore, a twice convicted sex attacker, who we know is a Muslim extremist, being permitted to come into this country and live here because he claims he wants to become a good Christian and work for the poor. I mean, we can put 2 and 2 together and know that this guy is lying. Well, we can, but our government and police are so easily fooled. They believe every word that he said, and the result has been that this poor woman and her 3-year-old child are forever disfigured by an acid attack. She might well be blind, we don't know yet. And her poor 3-year-old daughter, who isn't old enough to understand these events, is going to be forever changed by these things happening to her. So we must face the truth, ladies and gents. We must face the truth that this is our responsibility. I'm not saying it's our fault, it's not. And it's not the fault of historical dead people. It's nothing to do with the British Empire. It's to do with us here and now. The government and the police cannot be trusted. Labour and the Tories have failed us for long enough. We need to take matters into our own hands. And we need to make enough noise and fuss and a rebellion against this kind of thing so that it stops and we can roll back the clock and go back to the time when we were safe in our own homes, when we could walk the streets without the fear of having acid thrown in our faces for simply rejecting the errant advances of a pervert from another country who shouldn't have even been here to begin with. So, I invite you to go to my website and read my latest article, which is about this and the previous one, where I go into detail about the truth of this case of the acid throwing and why these things are happening and how we have been tricked into looking the other way and believing that our country is safer than it really is. And the reason is because we need to grab the bull by the horns, or this is only going to get worse. So let me remind you, British people are brave and courageous and strong, and we are morally good and we are willing to do what is needed. But we need to start with education and information. So go and read my article. Come back to me once you've read it and we'll talk and we'll see if we can get to solving this problem before it gets any worse. So that's the end of this article. I hope you enjoyed that and I'll see you in the next one. Bye now. Today it's a faraway town. Tomorrow it could be you in your town. You just don't know. So we need to grab the ball by the horns now and we need to start thinking of a solution that doesn't involve the current police and government regime because they've proven themselves to be worthless.